I'm recognizing some names. So for those of you who have already had a one-on-one meeting with me, this will be a little bit of a review for you in terms of stuff that I'm going to be going over today. And the good news is I've locked my senior cat out of the room that I'm presenting, so you will not hear the loud meows in the background that most of my meetings also have. So Anita, you let me know when I can get going with sharing the screen.
Sure. So I'll just welcome everybody to this session. Krista's here. She's agreed to give us a little bit of a breakdown of the resource Matific, which is one of the resources that our IT department has vetted and approved to use in our division. I will be monitoring the chat. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to throw it on there. Other than that, I'll keep my mic off just because there's noise in the background. But Krista.
Perfect. Thank you, Anita. Thank you for the introduction. And hello, everyone who's attending, and thanks for attending. And for those of you who are watching the recording, please feel free to also reach out to me. My email address is very easy. I've already probably sent you an email, but it's just Krista with a K at matific.com. So hopefully that's easy enough to remember. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now and bounce around from topic to topic. Anita's going to interrupt me whenever anybody has a question, or you can save your questions to the end, or you can email me directly. Totally up to you. So please excuse my limited capabilities with Microsoft Teams. This is probably my second time in my life using it, so I'm going to do my best to do this properly for you guys, but here we go. Okay. So Anita, can you just give me a thumbs up that you can see my screen right now? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to start it off with a basic presentation that, let me see if I can, whoops. Sorry, let's get that off. There we go. This is a basic presentation that I sometimes do with the larger school districts when I'm presenting Matific at first to numeracy coordinators, superintendents, things like that. And it just gives you an idea of what our platform has to offer. I'm not going to go over everything in this presentation because I do want to show you the actual platform itself, but just a couple snippets that I want to mention. For example, on the left-hand side of my screen, you see basically an exact screenshot of Alberta's curriculum. And then on this side of the screen, this is a screenshot of Matific's platform. And so I just want to point out to you that we've made it very, very easy for your teachers in that we've literally taken your learning outcomes word for word. Students explain properties of prime and composite, students explain properties of prime and composite, and then we've taken your skills and procedures that you need to complete, and we've put those in our platform and attached assignments that pertain to those specific skills and procedures that you're needing to achieve with the students. Okay, so you're looking at a grade 4 example. This would be an example of kindergarten, and another one for the grade 6s. So again, I know that this is this was a big feature when I was speaking to your district heads for your division in terms of making sure that Alberta's curriculum was in the platform, and it is, but also word for word, making it very, very easy for you guys. I'm going to talk about differentiated instruction when I show you the platform, so we'll go back to that. I'll also talk about the artificial intelligence that Matific has in terms of helping students learn at their own pace. Assessment is either very in-depth or very light, depending on how a teacher wants to incorporate Matific into the classroom. Of course, Matific or any kind of numeracy, digital numeracy resource, it's not meant to replace what the teacher is teaching. It's just helped with the conceptual understanding of the concepts for the students. We've got parent reports. I'm going to go over what that looks like. Accessibility features. I'll mention this now in case I forget to get back to it because you do have to click into an activity to show. But what I want to show are two things on this example. One, for this student's account, you can see that the language has been set into English. One of Matific's features is that you can use Alberta's curriculum with the platform, but you can choose up to 48 different languages in the platform. So that's fantastic for any schools that maybe want to set up their accounts or their students' accounts in French, or if you have any ELL learners that might need to have this be in Ukrainian, let's say, or Mandarin or Spanish or whatever your students are needing in the classroom. And of course, when I'm looking at the little gaffers, kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, potentially even, they may speak those languages as their first language, but they may not know how to read it yet. So this accessibility feature is what they can click on, and then this will be read out loud to them in whatever language the teacher has set forth. Okay. We have two things. For the administrators that are on this meeting, we have something called administrative access, which is going to be able to allow you to see all the teachers and all the students in your school who are actually using Matific. It'll show you how many assignments they've been given, how well they're doing on the assignments. And that's great for usage, so that next year or the year after, you can look at that and say, gosh, you know what, I've got 10 teachers, but only 7 of them really used it thoroughly. I'm going to go check with those other 3 teachers before I renew for my whole school. And you might be able to save a bunch of money if they're not actually using the platform. And then we have another thing called district-wide administrative access, and that's one step above that normally we would offer to somebody like Anita in case she wants to keep an eye on all of the schools in the entire district. So that would show her a very in-depth grid. There's all sorts of little things that she would be able to see, charts and pie charts, and I'm pretty sure I have an example here for you to see. If I could just pull that up, and here we go. So this is an example of a district administrative access. It shows you how many logins a student's doing. Administrators would have something similar, but obviously on a smaller scale, okay? And if I scroll down, we've got charts that we can give you that shows where the teachers are doing most of their work. You can see here they're doing it mostly on the assignment island, where it's either schoolwork or homework. This shows you by month how the grade levels are doing in terms of their progress, the completion rate and scores, making sure that those are staying up where we want them to be. And then this is a list of all of the schools that we see here, all of the students that are registered. So that gives you a good idea in terms of numbers and how things, and you can click in any of these things and you can expand things further, but that's just a little quick snippet of what things look like. So going into Matific now, I think that's the last slide I wanted to show you from this. Yeah, so we're going to get out of that. Matific is split into 2 platforms. So this is the teacher platform and this is the students platform. The students platform, I will say right off the bat, has no gamification. And I pride myself with saying that because a lot of school districts within both BC and Alberta are actually, some competitors are getting pulled out of the school districts because there's been too much gamification. And as a teacher myself, students certainly love some of the other platforms that are out there, but they weren't learning a lot of math. They were battling their friends and things like that. So the only aspect of a game that you will see in our platform is this little guy right here. Sitting in his floating ship. And as students complete assignments on all 4 of the islands, they learn quite quickly that it's not a matter of completing the assignments, but actually trying to do well on them. And when they do well, they can cash in these star rewards that they collect, and they can change the appearance of this little gaffer and his ship that he sails in. And that is essentially it. All of the assignments that we have are either going to be a worksheet type of an assignment where a teacher can either print it out, or something more engaging that is going to have the students clicking and dragging all over the screen. So I'll come back to that as well. I'm going to start you off with this platform. So this is the teacher platform. Okay, I'm not going to go into too much in depth because the purpose of today's presentation is not to train you on how to use the platform necessarily, but more to show you all of Matific's bells and whistles. If I were to be doing a training session with teachers that are coming on board as new customers, it would either be myself or one of my colleagues, and we would go way more in depth with showing how to add students, how to create your classroom, those kinds of things. And then probably a second meeting a couple weeks later, once the teachers have actually learned how to navigate it on their own, sometimes questions will come up and they'll email me for a one-on-one meeting, or sometimes the administrators will set that up on behalf of their whole staff. So totally up to you how you'd want to organize that. So teachers are given their account, and this would be the dashboard that they would be looking at. This is going to give them a summary of how their students are doing in the platform. It's a quick glance over. It'll tell you what students are excelling, what students are needing help, that kind of thing. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Live Classroom is our next feature. This is what I always tell teachers to use when they're using Matific in the classroom. So let's say you have just finished teaching your lesson and now you're saying, okay, guys, you can log into Matific. I've given you 3 assignments in the assigned work island. You can go ahead and get started. Well, I'm going to go back up to my desk and I'm going to click on live classroom because now I've got all of my learners here. I can monitor them. I like to spread my learners out in separate areas of the classroom, sometimes in the hallway if they can work quietly, a courtyard if there's one available, and if it's not raining. And so their names will come up on here if a student is struggling. And I might say, Terry, come on up to my desk and bring your device with you. I want to see what's going on. And then Terry might think, gosh, how does Mrs. Plum know what's going on with me? Not progressing. If they're not doing anything, their name will come here, so on and so forth. So just always have that open. This is a real live time. It keeps on updating as your students are using it. Okay, activities are going to talk about assignments, how they can choose assignments, and I'll come back to that in a second. Reports is all about assessment. I'll show you what that looks like. And I'm going to start you here now with class management because this is where I would start the teachers. Do we have any questions so far, Anita, going forward, or can I keep going?
No, I think I saw someone typing, but there no messages popped up yet.
Okay, no problem. Feel free to interrupt.
Sure.
Okay, so class management, when a teacher first comes on board, her screen is essentially going to be blank. Right now you can see this looks more like a resource teacher classrooms. I've got a whole bunch of classrooms here that I've created, but essentially this will be blank. And the first thing they're going to want to do is go up here and they're going to want to add a class. There's many different ways that teachers can add their students to the platform. One way is when you become a customer, I send essentially a blank class list template, and the administrators give that blank sheet to all of their staff. The staff fill it out with the information about their students, send it back to me, and then we upload the students on your behalf. Alternatively, if you click this button and you want to add it yourself, you can do that as well. There's 3 different ways. You can add it just one student at a time, first name, last name. Or you can add it through Google SSO or any other platforms that are out there. Matific is very compatible with what's out there. More IT type of questions I would have to ask my IT team, but I can tell you that the onboarding is very smooth, especially if you send us back the blank list class template so that we can do it on your behalf.
I think a lot of our teachers use the Google Classroom, so that's a really nice feature to be able to just add it in. Mm-hmm.
So a couple things you'll want to know. If you do decide to upload through Google Classroom, your platform, when you've finished uploading your students, will not look very similar to this because they will not need a password to log in. You'll be logging in with your Google username and not one that Matific has created for you. And the reason I point that out is because if you do fill out the class list template and send it back to me, or if you add students one at a time with just their first name or their last initial, doesn't matter, Matific is automatically going to generate a username and a password. And with that, you get your hands on these fun little login cards. And these login cards can be very, very valuable, especially for our little gaffers. If the little ones are already accustomed to logging in through Google, then I will not interfere with that. But I want to make sure that you're aware these login cards. So once you have the student's name in the platform, you've organized a proper username and an easy password, you would print off these pages of login cards. And teachers, I usually recommend for them to print off 2 copies, one that the kids can take home and they can log into their devices at home, because I'll tell you, parents love their child coming home and having screen time as a numeracy resource instead of PlayStation or TV. And they just have to scan this QR code and they're in right away. They don't have to enter anything else. That's their login. So something to keep in mind, these will not be available if you do set it up through Google SSO. And we do have teachers come back to us and say, oh gosh, I really want those login cards. And no problem, we can always switch it back where we create a username and a password, but it's just easy to know so that we don't have to do that switching around. So something to keep in mind. Okay, a couple other features I want to touch in. If a teacher decides to add a parent email to a child's student login account, a couple things are going to happen. So one, that parent is going to receive weekly reports on their child's progress with Matific's platform. It's going to tell them how many assignments their teacher has given them and how well they've done on their assignments. It's also going to allow teachers to access something called a parent door. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So going over here to the assigned work island, I'm going to click on it as though I were a student. And as you can see, my teacher has the option to put assignments in the schoolwork door, which means we're doing them during school time, to put assignments in the homework door, that's self-explanatory, but there's this other door over here called the parent assigned door. Right off the bat, I teach the teachers to put a lock on that door and explain to parents that you would rather have the students in your class focusing on what you're teaching them and not have the parents being going into this door and looking for assignments that might pertain to what it is you're teaching. Again, that's up to the communication that you have with the parents. We always have parents that are really, really involved with math and just want more and more and more worksheet after worksheet and still believe in the whole repetition, drill and kill kind of thing. So again, totally up to you. I always explain it that I put a lock on to keep my students focused on what I'm teaching right now in the classroom. You can still add the parent email. They'll still get the weekly reports, but they won't be able to go in and look for assignments for their specific child. And I teach them how to put the locks on the door and things like that. But that's what that column is going to do. Learning level, a learning level pertains only to Adventure Island. So let me go back to the map here. Visually, as you can see, Adventure Island is significantly bigger than the other 3 islands, and we do that for a reason. Adventure Island has, if you look at the initials, AI, that stands for artificial intelligence. And this is the island that's going to have that for your learners. Whereby, if I click into this island, you will see what is essentially a never-ending learning path. Do not tell the students it is a never-ending learning path. They like to think they're going to get to the end, but they never do. What this is basically an island. So if I'm a grade 4 teacher and I have set up my class for grade 4, this island is going to have all of Alberta's curriculum in grade 4. So if I complete one assignment and I do fantastic, I get 5 questions out of 5, this next assignment is going to be a hard grade 4 question. If I continue to do that and I get 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5, automatically through Matific's artificial intelligence, the learning level is going to be adjusted. As you can see with this demo account, this is a kindergarten demo account, but here's one student that has excelled continuously on Adventure Island, and automatically Matific has bumped that child up to a higher learning level. The child does not know that. The teacher knows because he or she is looking at the learning level from time to time and monitoring that. You can always go back in and adjust it back if you want to. And the other good thing about it is if I'm struggling, the same thing happens. So if I've got a student who gets 1 out of 5 on this assignment, this next question is then going to still be a grade 4 question, but an easy grade 4 question, not a hard one. And it will continue with that. And if the student continues to struggle, then their learning level will be bumped down a learning level. Again, they will not know that, the teacher will know that. One of the first things that, especially this early in the year, that I like to have teachers do is actually change the learning level, okay? Because it's going to cover all of Alberta's curriculum for that grade level that you've set for your class. The topics are also going to jump around a little bit. So there might be 3 questions for addition. Then the next 3 assignments are going to be subtraction. Then the next 5 might be patterns. So in an effort to keep your students on track with what you're teaching in your classroom, I usually like to train them and say things like, okay, guys, we're going to do Matific now. Go ahead and log into the assigned work island and go into the schoolwork door. If you finish those 3 assignments and there's still time, you can go ahead and go over to Adventure Island. And then they're still learning math, but we are not going to worry about the assessment aspect of this because bumping them down a learning level is going to make it so that I'm focusing my assessment on the assignments that I'm choosing for my learners. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I go in way more detail with the teachers, but I just want to let you know essentially what this column is.
Right. So if I understand you correctly, it's like that way we remove we're not assessing, we don't want to assess the activity, we want to assess the outcome, right? And so that way, if they get bumped down, it's not a problem because we're not actually assessing that specific activity.
Exactly. And so usually by the 3rd term, I tell teachers to change the learning level and bump it up to the accurate grade level of what it is that you're teaching. So if you've got a grade 4 class, go ahead in your 3rd term. You've now taught 2 terms, so most of the content, 2/3 of it anyways, are going to be now completed. The student has now learned it at that learning level, and they can feel free to go on to Adventure Island probably a little bit more frequently and a lot of less hands going in the air because they've now been taught that curriculum. Okay, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. The last thing on this is the group, and this is where we get into a very, very helpful thing for teachers. So again, I'm keeping it simple by pretending I have a solid grade 4 class, but if I had a split class, grade 4, 5, the platform can still do that with a split class, but I'm going to just keep it simple for today's presentation. So if I'm a grade 4 teacher, but I recognize that there are 4 students in my class that are maybe at a grade 3 or even a grade 2 learning level with math, to make my life easier with Matific's platform when it comes to choosing assignments, I'm going to create learning groups for those students. So all I need to do, the screen will look more like this, where the groups are empty. And what I would then do is I would select the students that I need to be in a lower learning level than the grade 4 class that I have. And then I'm just going to move to group. If I haven't created one, this is the only option that's going to be there. It's going to say new group. And you just go ahead and click on it and call it whatever you want. Click create. And that makes your life really easy when it comes to choosing assignments for your specific class, which is what I'm going to jump into right now. Okay, so we're going to skip assessment for a second. I'm going to come back and show you that. I promise you at the end, this all comes together quite nicely visually for you all, but I just want to make sure I'm going in a bit of a different order so you can see this. So under activities is where the teachers are going to look for assignments for their students, okay? Just like I showed you in terms of the word for word from the earlier PowerPoint presentation, here we have making sure that teachers understand right now I'm assigning an assignment for my whole class. If I click on that, I can choose a specific learner if I want to, or I can scroll down and choose a learning group that I've created with my grade 3s, for example. The other thing that you want to make sure you pay attention to is the date range over here. Teachers like to plan in advance. I get that. They can plan their whole year if they want to. They just have to select the date range that they want these assignments to be available on the students platform. Okay, so you pick a date range. Now, this by default will be set up with whatever they have set their class. So if I'm a grade 4 teacher, when I first created my class, this will already be set for grade 4. The first time a teacher wants to assign assignments, they'll have to switch this and make sure that you're abiding by Alberta's curriculum. Okay, make sure that that's on there. And now you can go ahead and click into the subtopics, open this up even further, see what these have to offer. And now there's a number of ways that teachers can assign things. I'm going to whip through this just so that you can see the features. I don't expect you to remember it. If I were to click on an assignment here, there's a couple things that I would want to show you. The first thing is I can display this on my smartboard. So even for days that I don't necessarily have devices in my classroom, or perhaps I have devices, but I want to make sure that my students are going to conceptually learn this topic before they try to go and do it on their own. So I'm going to put this on my smartboard. Maybe as a teacher, I'm going to press play and I'm going to do it myself to make sure that it's an accurate assignment that I actually want my students to be doing. So multiple ways for there. If I click assign the first time, there's going to be a little picture of a graduation cap. That means that it's now available in the assigned work island under the schoolwork door. If I click the graduation cap again, it turns into a house. Now I'm assigning it as homework. And finally, if I click play with class, the only time I would click this is if I have my students in front of me, my whole class, they've logged into Matific, and I say, okay, everyone, I want you to go to the Arena Island. As you can see, I've got a lock on this right now. I don't feel a need for students to go to Arena. There's nothing there for them. They would click on it, nothing would be there. So I just put a lock on just to avoid that. But if I tell my class, okay, everyone, go click on Arena, what's going to happen is that means I'm going to click play with class under the assignment that I want all of my class to do at the same time. So it's almost like a pop quiz. When all my students have logged in, their names will be here, and then I can go ahead and click start activity. And that activity that I've specifically chosen will pop up on all of their screens. Okay, when they're finished, their name will be here, how long it took them to do the assignment, and what their score was. I would like to reserve that for my eyes only instead of showing that on the smartboard. There are going to be the students at the bottom of the bunch, and I don't want any feelings to get hurt. In addition, there's a code up here. This code can be a lot of fun. If I'm a grade 4 teacher and maybe there's another grade 4 teacher in my school, or even at another school that you know is using Matific, I can text that teacher this code And then both classes would be doing this activity at the same time. And now we're into a bit of a battle, a little bit of a competition, if you will. And I might be able to display the top 3 students from each class and what their scores were. And it's just another incentive to get them using the different islands. Okay, so that is activities, find activities. Now, life happens. I understand that. There's fire drills. Maybe it was a sunny day and you ran late with an art lesson, all sorts of things happen, and maybe you just didn't get to math that day or a couple times during the week like you thought you would. So we can go to manage activities, and Matific's platform is very user-friendly. All I have to do is find the date range that I want to make the adjustments for, personalize it. So now I can see all of my students here, and I can either adapt it, so I can choose to completely change the assignment for my whole class if I want to, or I can specifically change it for specific students. So let's say little Pippa was away, she had the flu or COVID for a week, and she's going to come back and log in, and she's going to see 3 assignments from last week that are overdue, and she's going to see 3 assignments for this week. And I just don't want her to get too overwhelmed. So I can go in here and I can click on Pippa and I can unassign things specifically for Pippa. I can also reassign it for homework if I know that Pippa's using it on her device at home, or we can put it on later. If Pippa finishes early, I can always go back in and say, okay, Pippa, I've given you 2 more. Go on back and finish the ones from last week. So again, very, very user-friendly, and I go in way more in depth. One other fantastic feature is after you've been using Matific for a year, you have the ability to manage your plan. And managing your plan essentially means that if you have created assignments for your students week at a time, months at a time, you can go back in and you can actually download your whole year's worth of plans from Matific, and you can save that so that next year your whole year is then planned out for you if you want to use the same assignments in the same date ranges. You can also share that link with other teachers if you're switching, let's say, from a grade 4 teacher to a grade 6, or whatever circumstance might be available. You can share the links and you can say, here's the plan I used last year. So then you don't have to create a new one. You already know what assignments you want to teach in what weeks and what months, and you've got your plan going forward. So that makes it very, very handy, especially as teachers start to use this platform more often and we do the rollover after the first year. Okay, so that's manage activities. Let's get into assessment here a little bit. Under assessment, we have, like I mentioned, various ways to do this. One thing I'm going to point out is we have our learners on the side here. This should be full of data. I'm sure it'll pop up soon, but this is actually good to see it blank because this is what the teachers will essentially see. As they start to assign things and work with Matific's platform, the topics are going to be here. And if I click on one of these topics, fractions, it's going to open up even further to all of the subheadings of assignments that I've chosen for my class. Making sure also that we're viewing it by how we want to view this. So view by Matific topics. Nope, we want to view by Alberta's curriculum. Now you'll see your topics here. Okay, filtering it by all year levels. This comes in handy, especially if you're a resource teacher and you're covering a couple different classes, or if you've got a split class, grade 4, 5. Here's where I would make sure that teachers are aware to change this. I want to focus my assessment on the assignments that I'm giving my students in schoolwork or homework, nothing else. The other islands for now, I'm going to leave out of it because I'm only looking at the assignments that I've looked at. And now I can really quickly go through here and I would be able to see their scores. Now, if I want to look a little bit more in depth into one or two particular students, you just have to go over here, click on their name, and then it will show you, well, it's blank right now, but it will show you eventually how many activities they've completed. It will show you their scores on those activities. And then you can click export up here, which comes in very, very handy during parent-teacher conferences to have a student's progress of Matific, especially if you have not added the parent email to their account. Parents once a week might get overwhelmed getting an email from Matific showing all the progress. So this is a great term thing to do when you're having your parent-teacher conferences. Pull it up, print it out. It'll be a couple pages per student, depending on how much you have assigned for them. Okay. Any other questions right now? Am I good? We're good. Okay. Silence. That's good. Silence is golden, as they
Yeah,
say.
no questions in the chat yet.
Okay. A couple other features I'm going to touch on real quickly here. Beside a student's initials, well, first of all, a student's initials. So in a teacher's account, in the first little circle here is going to be the teacher's initials. And if they click on that, here's where they can change their account details. They can change the language of the platform. They can add teachers to their account if they want to. This little bell next to their initials, this is sometimes going to have a little blue dot or a little red dot above it. And all that means is that we've added something new to Matific's platform, possibly a new assignment for a particular grade level. Just click on it and it'll tell you what's going on. This is a fantastic button. This is going to take teachers directly to the help center. So here's where you can type in how to do something, for example, and then it will actually take you directly to how to do something, and it'll show you step by step what to click on, how to add your students, the 3 choices that you have to add your students. So it's a fantastic platform, this little help center. If you cannot find what you're looking for, there's an option to send an email to customer service. Customer service is going to send it directly through me, which is fine. It's one added step. If you forget my email address, it's obviously more efficient if you email me directly, but if you forget it or whatever, then you can always reach me on there as well. Another button for student login cards. And this is going to show you what the students platform looks like once you've created everything for yourself. The last thing I'm going to show you is manage my classes. Now, we've gone through manage my students where we are learned about their first name, last name, username, password, parents' email. We've talked about the learning level. We know how to click on this to do a bunch of different things, such as printing off student certificates, moving to different learning groups. These 3 little buttons, anytime you see 3 little dots in a row in Matific's platform, it just means it does something else. Go ahead and click on it. You're not going to break anything. Click on it and just see what it does. It'll open up something else. So here we have parent letters that we can do, print login cards again, change passwords for our class. I always recommend this for teachers, especially for the K, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Why not make it simple for our whole class? Let's have an easy password for everyone, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, that pertains to if you're not using the Google login. You can change the language to whatever you want for all of your learners or one at a time. But if I go to manage my classes, there's some advanced features that I can do. Again, here's those 3 little dots. So I'm just going to click into this one class that I've created and just show you real quick. If I go into manage class details and under advanced settings, well, here I should show you as well, team teachers. So team teachers, their names will get added once your school is onboarded. So the first thing our onboarding team is going to do is speak with the administrator and find out the names and email addresses of your teachers. Those teachers are going to be given access first so we can get the students uploaded to the platform. After that, if a teacher wants to add a resource teacher to have access to their teacher platform, maybe they share a classroom, she's in 2 days a week, he's in 3, that kind of thing. You can always add team teachers down here, and the administrators would be adding that as well if they wanted to. Advanced settings, here's where you can, yep.
We have one question, really looking at how to access the languages. Can students answer in their own language? And is it translated to English, or how does that work?
Yes, so when you change the language on a student's platform, I'll just go ahead and click onto one of the assignments so that you have an idea of what it looks like. So if I click into this assignment, let's just say I'm going to go do this assignment, and let's cross our fingers that this loads for me. I live in an area about a half an hour outside. Actually, when you fly into Vancouver, you actually fly into a city called Richmond, which is where I live. And the most southern tip of Richmond is a little fishing village called Steveston, BC. And Steveston has a harbor authority that kicks me off the internet often. So my apologies if that happens during this presentation. For example, if I have this set in Mandarin, these words are going to be in Mandarin. And if I click on this button, it's going to be read out loud to me in Mandarin. Additionally, when I go to enter my answers, so here's the instructions that it's giving me when I go to, so this is a kindergarten one, so I'm not actually doing anything then clicking and dragging right now. So this would be a counting one, I'm assuming. But yes, the answer is yes. It's always going to be, the whole platform is going to be in whatever language that you have set for your student. I hope that makes sense. This is a great way for me to show you the stars now. So you can see I hopped out of that assignment. I did not complete it. Therefore, I did not get any stars with that. And because of that, I did not collect any star rewards.
So
Students have the ability. Yep.
if the students do that activity then in the language that you've chosen, then as a teacher, how can you quickly see the assignment in English to make sure that it's like, how do you know that you're assigning the right thing and what they're answering?
Yeah, no problem. So when you're under class management and you're under Manage My Students, what you're looking at is your whole teacher platform. So my teacher platform is always going to be in whatever language I want to be able to see things in, assessment wise, assignment wise, everything. So if I have, let's say, changed Rob here and I have changed the language for Rob to Mandarin, my assessment and everything that Rob does and all the assignments that Rob does are still going to be in English in my eyes. So when I look at my assessment and I look under Rob's no longer in this class, or maybe he's down here. Let's say it's Andy now. So if I click on Andy, everything that I'm looking at is still going to be in English. And if I click on Andy's name further, I'm going to see the activities that I've given Andy in
Yeah.
English. He's completing
Okay.
them in his language though. Yeah.
Okay. And is there voice typing as well in the program?
There is, yeah. So under Manage My Classes, this is where I wanted to just show you a couple of the, I think I might have clicked on the wrong thing there. Let's see. Yep. This is where I would change my class details under advanced settings. And this is where I can then put a lock on the arena, put a lock on parent assigned activities, and just not have that accessible. So this is just another thing that I wanted to show you. It's something that I definitely mentioned to teachers. Now, I'm pretty much done aside from wanting to answer any questions going forward. But of course, administrators, please reach out to me if you have any further questions. I'm sure you're also all wanting to know about price. Anita, I know that we discussed that. I was going to mention that today. Most of the time, I try to encourage Matific as a division-wide purchase because that allows me to bring the price down. If you think about buying Matific in bulk, the more students that it's purchased for at one time, the less expensive it's going to be. However, we're just really excited that your whole division has finally received access after a whole year of lots of meetings and lots of preparation. So because of that, I'm going to just give the division-wide purchase price to everybody in all of your classrooms. So it's going to be the same for everyone. And if you want me to send you a quote, all I need to do is you need to email me how many students you have that you're looking to purchase for K to 6. We actually do also have a grade 7 year. However, it's brand new. So what I'm doing right now is people can purchase K to 6. If you want it for your grade 7s, it will be free for the first year. And we do that because I want to make sure that you have an opportunity for your grade 7s teachers and students to look into the platform, see what it is, what they're wanting to see, and make sure that it is something that you're wanting. It's not brand new. Matific's been around for 10 years, but offering it to Alberta and having Alberta's curriculum in the platform for grade 7 is new. So for this year, for the until the end of June of 2024, all grade 7 teachers get it for free, which is kind of a little extra little bonus there. So
I am wondering, Krista, if you do have time to show us an activity and maybe because one of the things we're looking at are how the different tools that can be used within activities and how they're embedded in the program. I don't know if you have an activity you can pull up just to show what that would look like. Because we talked
sure.
a little bit about that drill and practice, but this program is not that drill and practice. So just so they can see what that looks like.
Yeah, good point. So Matific, and the reason that it was created is the founder, a gentleman named Raz Kupferman. He did not like how elementary students were learning math, period. And he changed things so that when elementary students move on to middle school or high school, they have the concepts now. They have learned the concepts of math, and they're not just remembering the basic formulas and the repetition that goes along with learning math. And so every single assignment in Matific's platform, no matter what island you go to, is going to be based on conceptual learning. Conceptual learning is basically the why behind your answer. So it actually is really helpful for teachers as well, especially when they're introducing a new math topic, because they can pull an assignment from Matific's platform, put it on the smartboard, and have them teach it in a conceptual learning way rather than just here's 4 new worksheets. And I tell you, because I was also a teacher and because I have children of my own, it breaks my heart at the end of the year when they come home and they've got a duotang this thick and they say, that's my math. Yeah, we did 4 worksheets every day. And of course, I've learned this in parent-teacher conferences too. There's got to be more. And I'm not, Matific's not replacing pen to paper. We need it. Obviously, we need it. We need to practice with it, mark everything. But this is going to help them gain the concepts that are behind the assignment. So yeah, let's pull one up. So you know what? I'll pull it up on my teacher platform because it shows me a little bit of extra tidbits if I do it that way. So let's just pull up any of these ones here. I'm going to open it up.
Can we maybe look at a grade higher than kindergarten, just so we can get because kindergarten, we really stay away from the digital side of the practice.
Sure. Let's go to 6th grade and see what we've got here in 6th grade. We're going to challenge me. I'm not going to probably give the right answers because I'm presentation thinking right now, not math, but that's okay. So anytime you see a topic here, just click into it again and it's going to show you what you need to do. Click into it. Let's see what this one's going to offer me. Okay, so this is going to be a question where I'm going to click into it. I'm going to just show you what this episode looks like. See if I can make this bigger for you guys. Oh, I can. Excellent. Ooh. So my sound is turned on right now. I'm sorry if that's loud for you all, but probably a good example too. I could click on that and show you what to do. Let's just get it wrong here first so I can show you. We never want to put a giant red X. Gosh, that's really loud. We never want to put a giant red X on the screen if a student gets something wrong because that's going to frighten them. So let's just say I'm going to pretend that this is the correct answer. Click done. Okay, it's going to jiggle a little bit and tell me that's not right. Let's see if I can get this right this time. No, the ones that are incorrect jiggled, as you can see. Now I'm going to do it one more time and see if maybe I can try to get this. There we go. No, see, I'm not getting this right. So now it's going to provide the answer for me and I'm going to click next. So now, okay, I've got some new cards in front of me. So now I know what Matific is asking me to do. Visually, it's just shown me what to do. I have to put them in order from smallest number to largest order, okay? So this would probably be an introduction that we're doing before I get into a more a higher level. So I could probably click on probability for you guys if you want to see something a little bit more challenging than something like that. Let's see if we go down here. We could go to geometry. That's always tricky for some students. Let's see what we've got in here. This may be a digitized worksheet. Let's see what it has here. Oh, and the other thing I should mention is that a lot of our lessons come with these downloadable lesson plans, which is very handy for any TOCs that you might have covering a class, especially if they're not familiar. It's going to tell you the name of the activity, and it literally spells it out for you in terms of what you should be doing, how you should be teaching this math lesson related to Alberta's curriculum. It tells you what to ask the students and the answers going forward. So this is a fantastic, fantastic feature that we have. And it's attached to, I would say, about 90% of the assignments in Matific's platform. And then, yeah, we can just click on play. And if you want,
draw a reflection,
quick question here.
Whiteboard.
Yeah.
Do the lessons come in different languages as well for teachers? So are teachers in the Spanish bilingual or French immersion programs? Is there that option?
Yes. So again, it's always going to be going through Alberta's curriculum, but what's going to change is over here. So if a teacher wants to change the account details, they can go down and they can find this in one of the languages here. So if you want it in French, you're going to choose French Canada. And then if you choose, I'm going to try to do this now. I'll see if I can get back to English. I was born in Montreal, but I do not speak French at all. And now, as you can see, if I go down to find activities, it's automatically switched me back because this is a demo account, but I'm going to go back in and I'm going to look for the one that says the Alberta curriculum. Now, Alberta curriculum is here. That's going to be the English one. This is the French one. So I would click on that. Now we've got all of the headings in that language. Okay, we do the same for if a teacher wants to switch her platform to Spanish or Ukrainian or whatever the teacher's first language in, you can have the teacher dashboard and the instructions and the assignments be in that language as well, as you can see. So everything would be changed over. Nothing would be so, as well as the lesson plans. Everything would be in whatever language the teacher sets. So I'm going to switch this back in case there's more. I think it was this one.
And as far as digital tools that are built into the program, can you speak to that a little bit as well?
The digital tools that are built within the program.
Yeah, so
Yes.
like
So we make it really easy for everyone to use this platform, which is why Matific is so popular, not only with the language choices that are available, having Alberta's curriculum, the accessibility features, but the fact that the IT department that we have on our team is just so helpful. When it comes to administrators needing to onboard their staff and students, our IT department essentially does everything for you. There is a handy dandy little link that I give administrators, and it has all of where Matific can be used. So if it's on an app, if it's through a browser, if it's on a Chromebook, an iPad, any way that it needs to be used, our IT department makes sure that all of the teacher accounts are set up that way so
sorry.
that
I think my question wasn't clear. I'm thinking more about the manipulatives, digital math manipulatives within the program. So I knew when I was playing around a little bit with it, there were some rulers that I could move around for students to be able to
yeah,
use.
the fun
That
stuff.
sort of idea.
Yeah, you and teachers will see that as they go in to look for assignments because visually, and back in my day when I was in school, we would have to actually hold a protractor in our hand. To get students started, we have assignments that we've actually created animation for. So, for example, we might use the back of a turtle shell and it looks like a protractor, or we might use a school bus to measure angles, or we might use, so we are using visual things that they can actually see every day in life. So it might be that they're at the grocery store, or that they're getting on the bus, or maybe they're at the park, all real life scenarios in the assignments. And then we take math manipulatives and we put them in there, but it'll be a turtle shell. Obviously, the animation changes as you get up to the older grades because the grade sixes need to, not be playing with turtles. They're now mature and they want to have something a little bit more mature. So as you're scrolling through the activities, you will see the different kinds of things that we've added. There are thousands of episodes in this platform for Alberta's curriculum. So with trying to keep on track with time right now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen if I can. There we go. I think I've stopped. And if there's any questions, can you still all hear and see me?
We hear and see you. Yeah. So if anybody wants to turn on their mics or type in any final questions here before we end our session, you're welcome to do so. Think lots of information to digest. Really excited that you provide support for the teachers that need support if they have this program, and showing them more features within the actual activities. Yeah, I don't see any more questions coming up, but we know that we have your email, we can contact you. So thank you so much for there's a couple of people typing and they're just saying thank you.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we know we can reach out to you for more support, which is awesome. Thank you for your time today. And yeah, we're excited to see where this takes us, and guess we will
Excellent.
be in contact. Yeah.
Anita, do you want me to be on further with you after everybody logs out of the meeting, or
Sure.
are you?
Yeah,
Okay,
let's do that.
perfect.
And
Thanks,
I'm just gonna
everyone.
stop the recording now.